another edition of the Contractor's Secret Weapon weekly podcast with your hosts, Dave Negri. This program is dedicated to helping contractors, remodelers, painters, roofers, roof cleaners, and business owners in the construction industry gain an unfair advantage over the competition. This program supplies you with information that the competition doesn't even know exists. This session brought to you by ContractorsSecretWeapon.com.
Before we get into the conversation with you, I just want to do a shout out to our sponsors who help promote Contractor's Secret Weapon and just some of the things that they have in store for you, our listeners. Hey, is your phone ringing enough? Do you want it to ring more with highly motivated and qualified buyers that contact you, the contractor, directly? No more waiting for the phone to ring. Just answer that phone. Best Home Services leads are dedicated to making your phone ring with motivated buyers that call you directly. There's no obligation to talk with them. Just go to ContractorsSecretWeapon.com/money. Fill out the form to secure your discount on the setup fee. Do it today. This special will not last forever. Check them out at ContractorsSecretWeapon.com/money.
Running a small business is no easy task, and I should know because I had a service company for almost 10 years. I am the founder of a software called Radius Bomb, and it's unbelievable. And for all the listeners of Contractor's Secret Weapon, we have a special offer for you to check out. If you want to send hyper-targeted, laser-focused, super personalized postcards to your exact prospects using a map while sitting in your underwear, then go to ContractorsSecretWeapon.com/Radius Bomb, and we'll give you your first 100 postcards for free. Just go to ContractorsSecretWeapon.com/Radius Bomb.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Contractor's Secret Weapon. This is Dave Negri, your host, and I am excited for you to be here today. I have got a fun guest we've had on once before, and today we're going to talk about the thing that no one likes to deal with. Forget about talking about it. We're going to talk about conflict. 4 different ways that we can avoid conflict or handle conflict in our daily lives, whether it be our family lives or whether it be our work lives, with our employees. A lot of times we just love to just ditch it. So today I have Dr. Clete Bulach on our show. Dr. Clete is a retired Ohio school superintendent and associate professor of the University of West Virginia. He's author of numerous educational books, and one of the books that we're probably going to be talking from today is the book that focuses on human relations and poor interpersonal communications and the ability to cope with conflict. Of course, conflict. So I'm excited to have Dr. Clete on the show today, and you're going to get some fantastic information from him that you can put into action or non-action, depending on how you want to handle this. But we're going to talk about 4 ways to handle conflict in your life. So let's welcome Dr. Clete. Dr. Clete, I am just excited to have you on the show again. Last time we had a great talk, and this time we're going to talk about one of the things that everyone really wants to run away from, and that's conflict. So I'm really appreciative of you spending some time to talk with us about that today.
Hey, I look forward to it. That's
awesome.
One chapter in my book deals with that, because when we talk about schools, the problem with most schools is they don't deal with conflict, or they deal with it improperly.
Right.
So there are books written on this topic. I've kind of boiled it down to a common sense approach to conflict.
Well, that makes it easier, doesn't it?
Yeah. Not very theoretical. There are 5 ways to deal with conflict.
Okay.
And each one of them has a win or a lose. When there's a conflict, you can win and the other party can lose. You can lose and they can win. There's a win-win and there's a lose-lose. And then there's the 5th way you can avoid a conflict, and there are 4 ways to avoid a conflict. So,
well, that's not being very, very productive, is it, to avoid the conflict?
That's really the secret of being a good leader, is knowing when to avoid and when to take it on.
Right. Yes, I would imagine, yeah.
That's something President Trump has not learned.
Yeah.
He tends to take it on.
Yeah, he goes head on in everything. So, I mean, at least he's consistent. Head on. But, yeah, you're right. To be a good leader, you do have to know when to fight the battle and when to avoid it for another day. So this is going to be a great talk. And I know that, schools and teachers were your background, but it's very applicable to every part of our lives, especially our business lives, isn't it?
Yeah, it's applicable. Parents deal with conflict within their families. So anybody out there listening can benefit from this. Let's go with the style that a lot of people tend to use, and that's the competitive style. As you look at President Trump's style, the style that you see on TV and that's broadcast most often is competitive, and it's I win, you lose. So with the news media, for example, he is determined to win that battle. With the Democrats, he's determined to win that battle.
Right.
And with Make America Great Again, we win. He's not saying you're going to lose. He says to the other countries, I expect you to do the same thing.
Right.
As the leader of the country, to win for your country that's what you were put in office to do. So that competitive style, when we win, you lose, tends to be disruptive. Now, the next style, and I'm pretty sure he used that style on his trip to Asia, and that is win-win. One of my first publications was on collective bargaining, and I described the win-win negotiation style. So in his trip, he was negotiating with all the other leaders about trade, about North Korea, and I'm sure he was trying to make sure the other people won. So in a win-win, you try to find out what the other party wants, and you try to give it to them so they can win. And in the process, you try to get them to give you something that you want. And that's called The Art of the Deal, his book.
Right. I remember that.
That he put out earlier in his career. So win-win is the preferred style for most leaders. Now, when you can't find a win-win, you go to lose-lose. And that's compromise. When you compromise, you have to give up something. You give something up, and the other party has to give something up also in order to get the deal. So the art of the deal incorporates both.
Okay.
Because in many cases, there isn't a win-win available. Take, for example, right now, this tax plan. There is no win-win there. There's a lose-lose. So the House and the Senate have both got their plan. Now, in order to get both parties to agree, the House and the Senate, the House is going to have to give up something in their tax plan. The Senate is going to have to give up something in their tax plan. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, it does, because it is another form. I see it as another form of negotiation, and it's sort of like going for a job with a list of the things that you want to achieve as far as, let's say, a payment plan or a compensation plan, knowing that you've got 7 or 8 or 9 of them, but there's really 5 are the most important.
Right.
And you're going to go for those 5, and you're going to concede, and not concede. You're going to do it graciously, but if you can get all of them, you're going to go to take all of them. But if you also know that these are the things that I can move on with a little bit of battle, so that everyone feels like it's a win-win because I'm given, they're given.
Right.
Okay.
That's what tends to happen in collective bargaining with unions. They come with their big list of 20 or 30 items. I come to the table when I was a school superintendent with my list of 20 or 30 items.
Right.
And one of my items was the absenteeism rate on Mondays and Fridays would be no greater than Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. They fought me and fought me and fought me on that one. And I would eventually graciously give that up because I knew I'd never get it.
Right.
But in return, I got some things off their list that they really wanted. So that's collective bargaining, and that's compromise, lose-lose. But in lose-lose, you get something.
Right.
So lose-lose compromise is a valuable tool in dealing with conflict. So, any of your listeners out there, if you can't get to a win-win, you go to a lose-lose.
Right, and it's not that everyone loses. It's just that
No.
you're losing. You're losing to win.
Yeah, you're losing something to get something.
Right.
Okay. And I'm pretty sure that Trump on his trip used that a lot. To get some things he wanted with trade and to get some things from China to get them to move on North Korea. Then you come to lose-win. The leader loses and the other party wins. And I'll give you 3 or 4 instances where Obama used that.
Okay.
The Paris climate deal. He gave whatever they wanted, and Trump says, that's a lousy deal.
Yeah.
You sold the U.S. down the street, but then you go to Iran. What did we get out of that?
Yeah. We got
and what?
An empty checkbook.
Yeah, and what did they get?
They got a lot.
You go to Cuba. What did we get out of that?
Yeah, we've never got anything out of that.
And what did they get? So, and as you look at his decor in greeting other leaders, he was always subservient. He tended to be subservient. He bowed to the Saudi Arabian king. He bowed to the leader of China. He, in dealing with other countries, he accommodated. He was accommodating them all the time. And that's a lose-win position. Now, that's not a bad position. It's just a different one.
Right.
There are times with my kids when I accommodated. I gave them what they wanted, and I didn't get anything out of it. There was something went through my mind there. Oh, and with Congress, on the other hand, Obama was highly competitive. He didn't give them anything. He says, I've got this pen here, and I'm going to sign executive orders, and you guys can go screw yourself.
Yeah.
He didn't say it that way.
No, but that's what the implication was.
That was the implication. So there were very few instances where I could say he used the compromised leadership, conflict management style, and I don't know of any instances where he went for a win-win. He was competitive. Then there's the other one. The most intriguing one is avoidance. When do you avoid a conflict? And is that desirable? Oftentimes, school principals and school teachers avoid a conflict when they should be taking it on, and they just don't deal with it. So here's 4 techniques for avoiding a conflict. Let's say you've got a kid, you're a parent, and your kid, the curfew is 12 o'clock, and the kid comes in at 1, okay? And you're waiting at the door, and you say, son or daughter, curfew is 12 o'clock, and it's 1 o'clock. Oh, Dad, I had this fantastic thing going. Son, curfew is 12 o'clock. You came in at 1. But Dad, son, curfew is 12 o'clock. You came in at 1. Dad, you don't understand. Son, we call this the broken record.
Yeah. You
just keep hammering the broken record until the son says, okay, I hear you.
Yeah.
You don't get sucked into the argument that the son is trying to come up with to explain why they did what they did.
Right.
So the broken record is really a good thing. So if you have rules, if parents have rules, if a leader has rules, and they are known, you just keep broken record it. When they break the rule, you just broken record it. You don't get sucked into the explanation, because once you start, well, tell me about that.
Yeah, right. Then you get into a whole other animal. I remember my mom; she was a very wise woman. I'd come home late for a curfew or something, and I'd do something about Mom, and she'd go, listen, It's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay. And I go, what do you mean it's okay? She says, listen, when you chose to not come home for the curfew, you knew in the back of your mind that the punishment was worth it.
Uh-huh.
And I go, yeah, as you get older, you come to that realization. Well, I get in trouble. That's okay because I'm having fun now.
The second technique for avoiding a conflict is called fogging. I don't know who came up with that. I've used it in my book, and I've used it personally many, many times.
Yeah.
But I don't know where the term ever came up from. But here's how that goes. David, say something about my big nose.
The first thing that comes to me is okay. You are well endowed on your nose is well endowed.
You could say that. See, I didn't agree with it. I just fogged it. You could say that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that.
If someone accuses you, says, "Man, that was the stupidest thing I ever saw anybody doing," and you could say, "Well, that's possible."
Yeah.
But you never agree with it.
Yeah, you're not agreeing with it, and you're not really outright challenging them.
No, you never challenge.
Yeah.
You don't say, "What do you mean that was stupid?"
Right.
That would be, okay, here we go. we're going to get it on now, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to avoid the conflict, fogging is a very interesting technique.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm wearing an ugly tie, one that doesn't go with, your tie doesn't match the rest of your outfit. What's wrong with you? Oh, I guess I just didn't feel well this morning.
Yeah.
Never agree with it.
Right.
But you could say that. Remember when Trump was accused of, with that Bush reporter, that young kid, and they were talking about how it was to make it with women? If he had said, "Yeah, you could say that," and never agree with it, but he said, "Where did you get that?"
Yeah.
And, he just opened up the can of worms. There's a phrase or a saying that I like, and it goes like this: "If you're in a hole, stop digging." So
that makes sense.
Yeah, when he was accused of that conversation, he was in a hole, and he started digging right away.
Yeah, you're only going to get deeper.
Yeah, and of course, Judge Roy Moore is not digging. He is avoiding. And he is, to some extent, he's doing some fogging. So those are two, broken record and fogging. Here's one that is very effective. And if Trump had said that when he was accused of saying all those things to that young reporter, it's called negative assertion. Yeah, that was the stupidest thing I ever said. You take it right on and you say, "Yeah, I did that, and it was stupid. I should never have done that."
And, well, the nice part about that is you're stopping everything in its tracks.
Right, and if Judge Roy Moore had done that, if he had said, "Gosh, I was 30 years old, and I was just this almost crazy guy out for the women, and I did some stupid things." Yeah, and there are things that I did that I should not have done.
Yeah.
I think if he had done that, admit it. God, if you were to know what I did at age from before I got married, gosh, the things I did with girls, I wouldn't want anybody to know.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of things I wouldn't want anybody to know.
I didn't ever take advantage of a girl. And if I look at what Judge Roy Moore did, there was a lot of consent involved with that. Yeah, he did it. He did some things that he is not admitting, and it's perfectly understandable. What do a young guy and a young girl do on a date? Whatever they get away with,
Right.
And that works both ways.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
I've had some girls take advantage of me when I didn't want it,
Right. Yeah, I know. That's kind of wild, isn't it? It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, then the fourth one is negative inquiry. So we got negative assertion. You admit that it was stupid.
Right.
You've broken record and you've got fogging. And then there's negative inquiry, and it's very powerful. Somebody accuses you of not being having appropriate demeanor at a meeting, and you say, wow, what could I have done that would have made me come off better?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's stopping it too.
Oh yeah.
And you're asking, and I see the power in that, because you're stopping it in their tracks, especially if they're looking for an argument or looking to really downplay you, however you want to put it. And by asking the question, asking their advice, now you're just opening yourself up, and they're going, oh, I wasn't expecting this. How can I really? They're asking for help. How can I help them instead of beat them up? That's ingenious.
It throws it right back at them, and you put them on the spot. You put them on the spot, because now they've got to come up with why they said that. Many people make judgments about other people, and they don't have the data to back it up.
Right, right.
So you say, well, what could I have done that would have made me come off better?
Yeah.
And you say, and then you just wait to see what they're going to say.
Yeah, there's so many things that can come into the factor. You're in a bad mood. You're really not present in the moment. You might be thinking about something else and talking about where you are. It could be, I'm reminded of the, you're talking about people being judged about the guy that gets on the bus with his kids, and he's in a stupor, and all the kids are, running rampant and a bus, and the guy next to him says, hey, can't you control your kids? And he goes, oh, he said, I'm so sorry. He said, I just lost my wife. So, and it's like, and he goes, and the guy goes, oh, I'm so sorry. So then he pitches in to help calm the kids down, and so does everyone else on the bus.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's very powerful just to admit that, I am wrong, but what could I have done better?
Yeah. Well, then those are the 5 conflict management styles, and avoidance is a key style. Knowing when to avoid and when to take it on, using one of the 4 other styles of accommodation, compromise, collaboration, or competition. That's what makes a person who is in business successful, knowing how to use that. Then you have, let's suppose there are 3 levels of confrontation as well. 3 levels of conflict when you confront someone.
Okay.
If you decide that you're going to get involved with the conflict, what level are you going to take? And there's diplomatic, gentle, and firm. Let's say you've got an employee who does something that you don't like, okay? And first of all, you value the employee. You say, you're an important cog in our system here, and I really appreciate the contributions you make. But John, quite frankly, I can't agree with what you just did or what you just said. Boom. You don't ask them to change. You just put it out there and you agree to disagree.
Right. But it sort of puts him in the position that if he really feels like he's a valued employee, then he's going to turn around for the better without you asking him, because he feels a genuine disappointment.
Yeah, if you just come out and say, John, I disagree with what you just did, John is going to get defensive as all get out.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What did I do that you didn't like? And off to the races you go.
Yeah.
Because now it's going to be point and counterpoint, back and forth. But if you value them as an employee and say that you don't agree with what they did or said, and you drop it and don't demand that they change, it's possible that both parties will just walk away and that's it. Okay, now gentle confrontation moves it up a step. You value the employee just like I just did.
Right.
You know, you're an asset to the company. You pull your weight here. We like you as a person. But what you just did, I didn't like. And I'm asking you not to do that again. So you're asking. You're just asking.
Right.
So you, on the diplomatic, you disagree with them and drop it. On this one, you disagree with them and you ask them to change. Now, when you go to firm, you do the same thing. You value them as an employee. You tell them that you disagree with what they did. And this is what you expect them to do in a similar situation like that the next time. Firm, I don't like what you did. Here's what you need to do. And I expect you to do this. Okay. Now give me your understanding of what I expect you to do. Paraphrase.
Right.
You want them to paraphrase what you just told them you expect them to do. So if my son is not doing something the way I want him to do, I tell him what I want him to do, and then I say, give me your understanding of what I expect you to do.
Right.
When I was an assistant principal, I would discipline 30 kids a day or more. I was in a middle school. I had
Wow.
I had 700 seventh graders that I was responsible for in an inner city school in Cincinnati.
You still have hair? Yeah, I see you do.
Yeah. Well, I could tell you a story about that.
Yeah, I'll bet you could tell tons of them. Wow.
My hair actually did fall out one day.
Did it really?
Yes, it did.
I know it's funny now, but it wasn't then.
No, God, it's made it that.
Yeah.
But when a student, before they left my office, I would say, give me your understanding of what I expect you to do. That's a powerful tool because in any conflict, when you are the leader and you're dealing with a conflict and you've told an employee what you want them to do, how do you know they heard you?
Right. Yeah. Well, you know, and it's kind of funny because I like the way that you put that through because I remember I had an employee one time, I would tell him to do something, you know, just in conversation, this is what I'd like this done, this way, you know, and I'd go out and look at his what he did, and I'm going, Nelson, you didn't even hear what I said. So finally, I got to the point where I said, Nelson, this is what I expect. I want, you know, this. I want this done this way and this way and this way, and now I want you to repeat to me what I just said.
Well, that's different.
Yeah, it is a little different, but because it was like I was talking a different language to him. It was kind of really weird.
Yeah. When you say, I want you to repeat what I just said, you still don't know if they understood.
That's true. That's true.
You know,
but I wasn't that smart 30 years ago.
But if you say, give me your understanding of what
I love that. Give me your understanding.
You're going to hear what they heard.
Yes.
Because, you know, when people talk to each other, you don't know that they've heard what you said.
Well, you know, that's funny. It's just in conversation and not talking about conflict or anything like that. My wife and I, we were talking, I got a medication. She says, you know, it's best if you put it, it's a topical. It says it's best if you put it under your arm. So I'm going, under my arm is on my chest, you know, underneath my, and she goes, no, under your arm. I said, well, you got to show me where under my arm is, because under my arm could be anywhere from my arm down.
Yeah.
You know, so it's funny on how we say something, but we see it differently.
Yeah. Well, and then the nonverbal that goes along with it can change it. You know,
yeah.
The words themselves amount to roughly 10% of any communication.
Yes.
The way you say the words and the nonverbal that goes with it, that's what makes the communication. Now, when you're dealing with a conflict, paraphrasing is a powerful tool. Chapter 1 in my second book deals with the 5 communication skills. Paraphrasing is one of them. In a conflict situation, when the other party is mad at you and they're saying things to you, and you say, this is what I think I heard you say. And you repeat back your understanding of what you heard them say.
Yeah.
It really takes the anger out of, because it shows that you care about it. It shows that you're listening. It shows that you're trying to understand where they're coming from. And those are powerful human relations tools, caring. And it's one of the things in any relationship as a business owner is trust.
Yes, absolutely.
If the person who wants your services trusts you, that's a great thing. If they are suspicious and don't trust you, so this thing about there's a character dimension in trust. When you come across as a caring person, a listening person, and paraphrasing is the tool to use that with. You know, you share back with them what you think you heard them say, and that opens the door to a relationship with that people. And that's part of one of the 5 dimensions of trust. Ability is the next dimension.
Right. Hey, this is really awesome. That goes well with women too. When you repeat, go back and stuff like that. Yeah, we're getting close to the end of our time. And is there any one last minute thing that you feel like you missed on the conflict that you'd like to be a last minute share before we close out our time?
Well, actually, we covered that area pretty good.
Okay, good. Awesome.
I just think that knowing when to avoid a conflict and when to take it on is a key.
Right.
And you've heard of men are from Mars and women from Venus.
Yes.
Many times when something comes to you as the leader, you decide that you're going to fix it. Well, my motto has always been, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
Right. Yeah.
So many times, all you got to do is listen.
Yeah. Especially from my wife, because us guys, we like to fix things, and I'll say, well, you need to do this. I finally got to the point, after 42 years or 41 years. Honey, do you want me to listen, or do you want my advice? I just want you to listen.
Okay. Now you just said it there, Dave. That would be my last piece of advice to your listeners.
Yeah.
When someone comes to you with a problem, find out if they want you to fix it or they want you to just listen.
Right.
50% of the time, all you got to do is listen and paraphrase.
Right. So this has really been cool. It's been fun talking with you again. How do our listeners get in touch with you again?
Well, they can put my last name in on the web and put in Cletus, Cletus, and they'll find pages and pages of stuff about me. But if they're interested in education or just human relations, my 2 books are about schools, but it's really could be any organization, because being the principal of a school is not much different than being the head of an organization or a head of a business.
Right. You have multiples. You've got employees and you got students. So it's, if you can manage those, you can manage anything, right?
So they're on Barnes and Noble and Amazon.com. They run about $25 a piece. They're not expensive.
Yeah, no. We'll make sure that we put all those in our show notes again, so that everyone can get access to those and.
And put my website on there.
Absolutely, we'll do that.
Everything on my website is free.
Awesome. This has really been great. Thanks so much for being with us, and I do appreciate you spending time with us and going over these conflict. And conflict can be good, but you don't have to run away from it all the time, right?
Right.
Thanks so much.
Good interacting with you again, Dave.
All right, thanks so much. Again, I want to thank you for joining us and investing your time with us today. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and if you did, go to iTunes and give us a shout-out. You can also go to our website, www.contractorsecretweapon.com, and check out today's episode and leave us a comment in the bottom of the page. And if you haven't gotten your 15 secret weapon strategies to getting higher-end customers, get it while you're at the website. Also, I want to thank again our sponsors for keeping this podcast alive, for your profit-making pleasure. And so go be profitable this week. Work smarter, not harder, and learn how to leverage your time and your knowledge so that you can be more profitable. Again, see you next week.
Thanks for joining us for another weekly episode of the Contractor's Secret Weapon podcast with Dave Negri. We would love to hear your comments about this episode, so visit us online at www.contractorsecretweapon.com and let us hear your thoughts. If you are listening via iTunes, please leave us a positive review. The more positive reviews we receive, the more other contractors will benefit from this show. Thank you, and see you next time here on the Contractor's Secret Weapon podcast.